We haven't really had a proper 3D animation in a while, so today's the day. So that's what we're gonna be creating, and if you wanna follow along, you can check out the description below for the assets. And by the way, these are literally the last hours of the promotion for Motion Essence, so if you want to still get it at half the price, you can check out the description below. That being said, we're gonna get straight into Adobe After Effects. Alright, so we're back in the software. Let me just show you the comp settings. I'm gonna hit OK, and we got only 3 assets for today. So like I said, you can find them in the description. I'm just gonna drag each of them on the timeline. So we got an editor, and then we got a background. So right away, we're gonna get started with creating a new camera. So I'm gonna go to New, Camera, and let's make sure to pick a preset of 35mm. I'm gonna hit OK. Also, what you could do is just pick one node camera. I'm gonna drop it below, and I'm gonna create a new null object. So this null object is gonna be our cam controller, and then what I'm gonna do is parent the camera to the null. What we could do for separation is just apply a cyan color, and I'm gonna turn on the 3D on everything. So what we wanna do is open up the second view. I'm gonna head over to the custom view 1, and what we need to do is basically create a separation between the editor and the background. So for this, I'm gonna hit P, I'm gonna move it away with Z, not a lot, just a bit, and then I'm gonna scale it up. This should be pretty good. I'm gonna close it down, and let's create a movement for position. I'm gonna hit P, create a keyframe, move it forward, and then we're gonna get closer. So you can already get that 3D feel. But if you want even more 3D feel, you can actually create a bigger separation between the two. Let's just scale it up, and this should be perfect. Now we need to make sure to apply a good graph here, so I'm gonna select both, hit F9, go to the graph editor, and we're just gonna create a peak on the left. Okay, this is extremely slow, I'm gonna speed it up. And later on, we're gonna be moving further away, so what we wanna do is apply motion tile effect to the background. I'm just gonna bump it up to 300 over here, output height as well, and let's check mirror edges. Then we're gonna create another movement going towards the right, so for this I'm gonna hit Ctrl D for the cam control 1, hit U, delete the last keyframe, parent 1 to 2, move it forward, and let's just play around with X, just like so. I'm gonna select both, and I'm gonna apply one of these graphs. I'm gonna just show you. So this is a pretty sharp peak. Okay, so that's the movement. And right around this time when we got the sharp movement, we're gonna cut the camera. So for this, I'm gonna hit Ctrl Shift D, and now we're gonna adjust it a bit. So if you hit C or you just click over here, you're gonna have different tools for the camera. So I'm gonna make sure the camera tool is selected, and I'm gonna zoom in. Then I'm gonna change the tool, and I'm gonna go like that. And we kind of wanna be behind the shoulder of the character. We might actually wanna do something like that, because on the top of the cam control tool, we're gonna create another movement. So I'm just gonna hit Ctrl D, hit U, delete the last keyframe, parent 2 to 3, and we're just gonna create a faster movement over here. So for this, I'm just gonna play around with X a bit, right? We can select both, hit F9, go to the graph editor, and here you want to have a very sharp peak on the left. Just like so. Maybe even more. Okay, that's really nice. So that camera switch is literally perfect because the movement starts already from here. So we got the movement towards the right on the first scene, and then we're speeding up the movement on another scene, which is making the whole transition look more seamless. And actually, to make it even more seamless, what we could do is create a new adjustment layer. I'm gonna rename it to blur, and I'm gonna add Gaussian blur effect. Alright, so we kind of wanna trim it at this position when we got that camera switch. Also, what we could do is just make sure that the cam control 3 starts around this cut, or actually at the exact position of the cut. So here, I'm just gonna create a keyframe for blurriness. I'm gonna hit U and move that keyframe forward. Now let's go ahead and bump up the blurriness, and let's see now. Okay, so this is actually really nice. So that extra blur is gonna make that transition a bit more seamless. Alright, that's really nice. We might actually extend these keyframes. And also I feel like the beginning here could be at 15. Okay, perfect. It's gonna look even better when we apply motion blur. So over here, when we got that movement, we wanna add the text that is gonna be added smarter. But since I got Motion Essence, I'm gonna use one of the assets. I'm gonna go to the search bars, and let's pick modern search. All right. So that's what we have. We definitely need to turn it into 3D. I'm gonna make sure that it's between the background and the editor. Also, we're gonna put it here. I'm gonna scale it down a bit. We can bring back one view, and we're gonna trim it around this time. I'm just gonna change the text over here to edit smarter. Let's go back. Okay, and around this time when we got that click effect, we're gonna go back. So I'm gonna duplicate cam control 3, delete the last keyframe, parent 3 to 4, move it forward, and we're just gonna move backwards. Right, something like that should do. Okay, this is extremely stiff, so what we're gonna do is apply mid graph. So I'm just gonna double click here, and let's see now. Let's see the whole scene. I think I'm just gonna take cam control 2 over here and we're gonna start the movement a bit earlier. Something like 2-3 frames should be fine. Yeah, a bit better. And here we're gonna add another text that is gonna be not harder. Let's just make sure to use Montserrat Black, and I'm gonna turn on the caps. Let's turn on the 3D and move it to the middle. Now I'm gonna use position, and let's get it closer to the camera. Something I really like to do for the text is adding CC light sweep. Now I'm gonna make sure to change the light reception to cutout, and what we wanna do is change edge thickness to 0, bump up the sweep intensity and width as well. So this is already nice look. We might want to move it to the middle. You can always play around with this. And here what you want to do is apply one of the text animations. We're gonna go for that Apple style. So let's go to animate, position. We're gonna change it to 150. I'm gonna open up range selector 1, advanced. Now let's make sure to change ease load to 100%, then go to shape and change it to ramp up. And also we're gonna set offset to -100%. Now let's keyframe, move forward, and change it to 100%. One extra touch we need is going to property, and let's pick opacity. Now I'm gonna change it to 0% and let's see the whole animation. Let's slow it down a bit. Okay, better. We might need some adjustments. Just gotta look for the perfect timing. And now what we wanna do for the camera too is just go to the properties, camera options, turn on the depth of field, and we're gonna set the aperture to 500. Now everything became blurry and we kind of want to have added smarter in focus. So for this I'm gonna play around with focus distance. I'm gonna make sure that the triangle over here is on our search bar or on your text. Then we're gonna keyframe the focus distance, we're gonna move forward, and here we need to adjust it. So here we got the text and we need to have that focus distance exactly over here. Also we need some adjustments for the timing. I'm gonna go to one view, and probably one thing I would do is just apply another adjustment layer over here. I'm gonna call it exposure. Let's add exposure effect, and we're just gonna make it darker at this position so the text is taking all the attention. Also, the thing that I really like about Motion Essence is that you can customize it. So here, for example, I'm gonna apply tritone effect, and we're just gonna use something different for the midtones. Okay, that blue is looking actually pretty cool. Ooh, that's matching the monitors. I'm gonna stick with this. I'm gonna hit OK. And let's see now. All right, so this is pretty much perfect. And what we wanna do is apply another adjustment layer on top. I'm gonna call it wiggle, and I'm gonna apply transform effect. Now let's go ahead and bump up the scale to 105. I'm gonna alt click the stopwatch for position, and let's type in wiggle, and in brackets 1.3,17. Right, let's see. So that extra wiggle is gonna make it so much more realistic. And now let's just select every layer and we're gonna pre-compose it. We can call it animation. All right, so that's what we have. And one thing I would actually add over here, something I forgot about, is the AE logo. So I'm gonna drop it on the timeline. I'm gonna scale it down, and let's just pre-compose the layer. We can call it logo. I'm gonna turn on the 3D for this. Let's drop it where it belongs, which is basically over here. Now in the first scene, the logo is gonna be the closest to the camera. So I'm just gonna play around with Z. I'm gonna scale it down, and let's just hit P, hold shift click R, and we're gonna keyframe position, Z rotation, and maybe we're just gonna play around with different values for rotation. Okay, something like that is pretty cool. Okay, I'll take that. I'm gonna go here, and you can actually see the depth over here. Looks pretty cool. But what we're gonna do is basically have it lower, just like that. I'm gonna play around with Z rotation, and what I'm gonna do is basically apply the easy ease, go to the graph editor, and we're just gonna create a peak on the left. I'm gonna extend it for a longer movement, and also we're gonna start it a bit earlier. I'm also gonna adjust a logo a bit later on. We're just gonna add some effects to make it spicier. But now I'm gonna go back to animation over here, and we're just gonna add some adjustment layers. So for this, I'm gonna go here, adjustment layer. Now let's rename it to posterize time. I'm gonna add the effect. I know a lot of you don't like posterize time, but I love it. So I'm gonna set it to 16, and this is going to make our animation choppy. Kind of like that cartoonish frame rate. And then we're gonna add another adjustment layer, and let's rename it to color. So here we wanna add lumetri color effect, and we're just gonna play around with color wheels. So something that will look absolutely fantastic here is just adding a little bit of blue to the shadows. We're also gonna make it a bit darker, and I already like it so much more. Okay, I really like these colors, but what we're gonna do is go back to our animation. We got two precoms called animation. Anyway, we're gonna go to the logo, and here I'm gonna pre-compose that layer one more time. And here we're gonna add tritone effect. And what I'm gonna do is go to the midtones, and we're gonna take it from brown to white. I'm gonna hit OK. And as for the shadows, I'm just gonna pick something bluish. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. Now let's go ahead and add deep glow. I'm gonna bump up the radius, and then I'm gonna change the exposure to 0.3. Okay, looks very nice. I'm also thinking about CC light sweep, but it might be overexposed. But remember to put it above everything. And here we're gonna set it to white. I'm gonna change edge thickness to 1, and I'm gonna bump up the width. Maybe let's change the sweep intensity to 20. All right, let's go back. And this looks very nice. Let's see with the colors. Okay, we got the problem with the logo over here. So for this, we can go to our logo. I'm gonna hit Ctrl K in order to open up composition settings. And let's just bump it up. I'm gonna set it to something like that. Right, let's go back, and this should fix the issue. All right, and one more thing we need to do is just go to the logo, and we're gonna trim it over here before the camera switch happens. Now let's see the whole thing. All right, I really like it. Now let's see it in the full quality. All right, so we got the whole animation. Looks very nice. I really like that posterized time effect. So here we got it in the corner after we rendered out the whole thing. And yeah, with that being said, we're gonna wrap it up here. Maybe you're the lucky one and you still have a few hours left before the promotion ends. Or maybe a couple minutes, so make sure to check out the first link in the description. I will see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.